Hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. Spencer Love here with another individual I'm super excited to chat to. Obviously, wrestling royalty, but someone who I've been a fan of for a long time because of her work here in Alberta. Bronwyne Billington, the Dynamite Doll, joining me. Bronwyne, it is great to chat with you today. It's nice to be finally getting back to some semblance of normalcy as far as things go. How have you been? How have the last, 18 months or so been with the world in the state it is?
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy. I definitely am feeling things going back to normal, which is nice. And I've been doing a lot more podcasts throughout the pandemic just to keep myself busy. So thank you so much for having me. It's great to be on your show.
Well, I appreciate that. I would say the pleasure is all mine, but I'm glad to hear that it is shared pleasure. Maybe with the pandemic and that sort of stuff, everybody's picking up new projects. Like you say, you're doing more podcasts, but you also started to really take on a bit more of an active role in promoting your dad's legacy, getting the Instagram account, all of that sort of stuff going. Was that a pandemic thing, or was that maybe a more long-term thing that you'd been thinking about, or how did you start to get a little bit more involved on that side of things?
I think that I don't know why I didn't want to do it originally, but having more time on my hands for sure throughout the pandemic, and I really started missing my dad. So I think that starting it really brought me closer to him. Actually, it might have happened shortly after doing the Dark Side episode as well. I really started missing him. That's when it really started kicking in. So I started up the Instagram page and just trying to get more merch going and figures and stuff like that. So I think just missing him, and it's really helped me feel connected to him again.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on Dark Side and all of that sort of stuff as well, too. But it was cool for me when I've talked with a couple of people who are doing similar to what you're doing and honoring family legacies is, you find memories from fans that maybe you wouldn't have found out about, or you get photographs that you'd never seen before. Have you had that experience? What are maybe some of those memories that have either come back or you're finding for the first time?
Yeah, I think a lot of my personal pictures that I'm posting are family pictures of really rare moments people haven't seen. So that's really special and brings back memories. And then the fans are sending me really rare, especially Japanese photos from magazines or pictures that fans have taken. So it's really cool. And, rare merch too, or signatures or things like that people are sending me. And so, yeah, it's awesome.
Do you have any particular favorites, whether it is, again, photos or maybe, like you say, memorabilia or merchandise or anything like that that's come your way?
Can't think yet. I think some rare photos from my mom, actually. There's some really rare ones of my dad with Dusty Rhodes in Japan. That was
cool.
Yeah, I posted that on the Instagram, and that was a fan favorite. And then there's a picture of my dad and Brett in Dubai, which was really rare. So yeah, I think my mom has a lot of hidden gems, and I still have some digging to do at her house. So stay tuned what I find.
I was going to say, going through the family attic, you always think you found like all of it, and then another box pops up, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to take my time. I went through for about an hour and was taking photos of the pictures, like scanning them. But I was like, no, I'm going to leave it for next time. I don't want to do it all at once. I'm just trying to sprinkle it throughout here and there.
As they say in wrestling, long-term storytelling, I suppose, right?
And then I guess some of the more rare stuff that has been really cool that's popped up is like the promos the Bulldogs used to do in WWF. Things that were on VHS video, and now people have, posted it to YouTube, and so they're sending me the links, and I'm able to share it now. Like I was looking for the Hostess chip commercial forever. I've seen that one of the Bulldogs.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's really. I've also posted that one on my Instagram page, my dad's Instagram page, so you should check it out. But it was a Hostess chip commercial. Cool. It's like 30 seconds long, maybe, but it's just incredible, and I was looking for it for years, so finally got my hands on that through a fan.
Is there maybe something right now that you're particularly looking for? Is there a holy grail of missing Dynamite matches or something along those lines?
I'm not even sure yet. I think that there's stuff that is missing that I don't even know yet. So that's what I'm going to come across and be like, oh, okay.
That's the adventure of it, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about it like we were saying with Dark Side and that. Obviously, the episode was very emotional, and it was very well done in a lot of opinions. So what was maybe your overall thought? And then just to dig a little deeper with it, what was the process of filming like? Was it come in for a day of interviews or a couple of different things, or how did that process work for you?
Yeah, so it was of course during the pandemic too. It was really strict at the time. So the first day, I think it was a Thursday, my sister and I filmed together.
Mhm.
They had to rent all different houses for everyone to film at different houses. So they weren't all in one house and well, I guess different scenes too. Cause usually they would use like our houses, but because of COVID,
Yeah.
they had to rent houses. So they did my sister and I first, and then the Friday was my mom. And
Mhm.
my mom filmed for like 4 straight hours. They actually ran out of tape
Holy cow.
because she can talk and she's got a lot of amazing stories. So they had to wrap it up real quick. But yeah, it was a really great experience filming. The crew was wonderful, really professional, kind of overwhelming, of course, because like the camera's so close in your face and the dim lighting. And so I wasn't sure if I was nervous, of course. I wasn't sure if I got my message across or if I said everything I needed to say. I was a little bit nervous, and then we didn't get to see the finished product for 6 months or so. And when
Mhm.
I finally saw it, I was like, okay, I need to think about it for a while. I wasn't really too sure how I felt because it's so surreal seeing your life and your family's life and your father's life portrayed on television. So I had to
Yeah.
think about it for 24 hours, and then we watched it again, and I was like, okay, this was really a really well done piece, and we were really happy with it overall. Uh, my
That's
mom
awesome to hear.
my mom was initially right away extremely happy with it. She was, she really ended it at the end of the episode, like the message she wanted to get across. So they ended it really solid, and we couldn't really ask for any more than that.
I was going to ask, but it sounds like you've already answered, at least on your mom's behalf. But like, do you feel you got your message across? Because again, it was very obvious the love you had for your dad and all of that. But do you feel you got that across in the way you wanted to?
I think I did because I still even to this day have people reaching out to me that they watched the episode and, maybe they had a parent that they lost connection with and they could relate and they said, thank you for telling your story. You're so brave. And yeah, so I think I did get the message across that I was wanting to, I wanted to show a softer side of my dad. And that's always my goal because I know him in such a different way than most people might remember him. So and the way
Yeah.
they acted out our the reenactment of my father and I was beautiful. I love that. Like I have that forever, that piece forever now.
Yeah. Absolutely wonderful to hear. What sparked your reunion with him? Because you've told the story a number of times, and even again there, you've talked about the softer side and how he just sort of sits and smiles when you move closer to him. But what sparked you wanting to go and make the trip to England after 15 years? I think you had said it had been since you'd seen him.
Yes, we hadn't seen each other for 15 and we hadn't spoke for 10. It was
Mhm.
because I became a new mom myself. So I had a 2-year-old daughter at home. I think she just when I first reunited with my dad, she turned 2 while I was away. So it's really hard I
Mhm.
have another daughter now and she's 2.5 and I'm really attached to her. So I'm like, I can't even imagine leaving her now for a week, but
Yeah.
I had to go do it because I needed to see my dad again and make my soul full again. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was becoming a mom myself and just knowing that a part of me was missing and I needed my dad in my life again and to feel full. And
Did did you only ever make the one trip back out there? Because that's really all that anybody ever tends to ask you about. But did you get the opportunity to go back maybe a couple more times or take your
I
kids
did.
out there
I
or
think
anything? Awesome.
I went 3 times in total, like kind of once a year. It's really expensive to fly, as you probably know
Yeah.
from Canada. So, and yeah, you just use my credit card. I got that credit card just so I could travel to see my dad because I never really had
Mhm.
the money. I just like charge it, go see my dad.
We'll kick this can down the road.
Yeah, perks of being an adult, like I can just charge it now. So
I think
yeah,
you and I've got a lot of the same theories on that, maybe for different reasons, but I think we got a lot of that same mentality. The only other individual I wanted to ask, because you see a few photos, obviously, but like your dad obviously still had a very good relationship with Bad News Brown. He's in a lot of photos with them together.
yeah,
Maybe, sorry, go ahead.
they were super good friends. So I would sleep over there. Their son AJ was the same age as me. I think maybe we were a year apart, but and Helen, Bad News' wife, would babysit me and my
Mhm.
brother. We'd sleep over there. We both lived in Springbank, you know where that is, just outside of
Yep.
Calgary. Like lots of mansions and acreages. So yeah, we lived fairly close and they'd babysit us and Helen was lovely. They had older daughters. They were older than me and they handed us down like I remember this Cabbage Patch dollhouse, or not a doll, it's like a big playhouse, like one you put outside,
Yeah.
the doors and the windows and everything.
Cool.
Yeah, so we grew up with them.
Very cool. I don't know if the timeline lined up, but did you get to go out to any like Stampede shows or anything like that while your dad was there, or even maybe when he returned in '86 or so?
No, I was too young. So I was born,
Okay.
yeah, I was born in 84. If I was there, I was a baby, so I certainly don't remember. I wish so many like older people or older than me. They're like, oh, like I was a young kid in the crowd watching your dad wrestle. And I'm like, I'm so jealous. I
What
got to
was your
go to like they brought Stampede Wrestling back, like with Ted
Mhm.
Hart and Bruce Hart and years later, I think those are the 2000s. I went to some of those shows, but certainly not the same.
No, and I was going to ask if that was maybe your first independent experience, because not seeing your dad, it's again a bit of a different first introduction as someone coming from the Hart Billington Smith family. So Stampede's revival, I guess, would be the first sort of time you got
Yeah,
your feet into the independent wrestling
I
waters.
think so. I was hanging out with my cousin Ted quite a lot.
Mhm.
This was like I was in high school, and we'd be hanging out. And he was like, "Oh, I just got to make a quick entrance." So we'd go to the wrestling show. He'd pull in, like he'd do this heart entrance, like they were all coming out to the what's that song? A Heartache Tonight. Who sings that one?
Oh, the Eagles.
Yeah, like all the hearts be coming out to that song. He'd do the entrance, a little run in or whatever, and then he'd be like, "Okay, we can go now." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like,
Excellent.
but
I
at
just
the
got to
same
stop
time,
for 15 minutes.
yeah, basically, he just did his part. Then we left. But and he also ran Matt Rats Wrestling. I'm not sure if you ever heard of
Yep.
that. So
Oh, yeah,
that
you
too, I'm
betcha.
not sure what came first. Probably Matt Rats, I think. So I remember seeing some of those shows as well, and all the cousins were kind of getting involved then. I didn't really get involved then, but certainly planted the seed in my head that I did want to get involved in wrestling.
I was going to ask that because from any interview I've read of yours or heard from you, it was very sporadic the first time that you actually managed to get your way into a wrestling ring. You were managing Dynamite Dan, if I remember correctly, and you were just asked on the fly.
The first show, it was the Hart Legacy at the Victoria Pavilion in Calgary, where Stampede Wrestling took place originally. So
Mhm.
they were just doing like a Stampede Wrestling tribute show with all the Stampede Wrestling family members. At the beginning, they all were walking around the ring like the family members and just like waving, like this is Dynamite Kid's family, this is Bad News' family, like whoever could be involved and was there. And then I stood ringside for the Battle Royal. And I had so much fun at that show, just being backstage with all the wrestlers, and everyone treated me so well. I just was like, I belong here. Like, yeah, I'm going to come back next month and do this again.
Cool. Very cool. What got
I
you into
remember I
like,
was even signing autographs that night because I printed promo pictures. And I started off signing Bronwyne. And I was like, for half the night. And then I was by the end of it, I was like, Dynamite Doll. I'm like, yeah, I'm the
I was going
Dynamite
to say,
Doll.
was there pre-thought to that, or did it just come literally, like you say, in the middle of signing?
No, actually, Spencer Tapley, if you know him, he named me
Yep.
the Dynamite Doll, and I liked the name, so he actually came up with it. Because I believe there was a manager. I think she was a manager. Maybe she was a wrestler. The Diamond Doll back
Think
in the.
so.
Yeah, I'm not overly
The
too
name
sure.
sounds familiar, but
Yeah, he
I,
just
I can't
kind of
speak
thought
to
of
it.
that, and he was like Dynamite Doll, and it stuck with me. I'm girly, and yeah, it suits me.
Those Spencers are pretty smart individuals, if I do say so
Yeah,
myself.
I know what
But
they're talking about.
right, but I do have to ask because selfishly, like I got a lot of love as a professional wrestling fan for both big Jess Youngblood and heavy metal, and I reached out to Metal to ask what if he had any questions or good stories, and quite literally all he was able to say was like, you meant a lot to him in the relationship with Top Talent. You're literally on the Top Talent Championship. Brush
Aw.
your shoulder off. So maybe just a little bit on obviously how you guys came to be friends, and then how you guys came to be Top Talent.
Yeah, so I think it had been about 2 years, maybe. I wasn't involved in shows anymore. And my girlfriend Ronnie Davis, that's Dwight Davis's wife, she started
Mhm.
managing. So I was like, well, I'm going to come watch you at the RCW show to support you. She's one of my best friends. I wanted to see her in action. So when
Mhm.
I was there, I got the bug and I'm like, oh, I want to be walking down to the ring. So I went up to the dressing room and I was just like, well, who am I going to work with? Like looking around and like, I don't know. And then there was Jesse and Metal and they were the champions. So I was like, well, of course I want to work with the top dogs. So I went up like, hey, what do you think? Like if I could work with you guys. And yeah, we had a lot of fun for a couple of years. And then of course COVID hit. So awesome guys, great wrestlers. Metal is super talented, running a school in Edmonton, as you probably know. And I'm not sure if
Mhm.
Jesse's back in the ring right now, but Yeah.
I think he's biding his time. He took an ass kicking like a champion a couple of months ago at a show I was lucky enough to attend. Yeah, but what can you do? That guy'll come back. I'm excited for it. And it's also nice to be able to ask you on both the working perspective, but as a fan over the last little bit that you've been going, just talk to me a little bit about RCW. It's been since Stampede, I would think, that anybody's run weekly, been doing as good of a job as they're doing, and lots of great wrestling in Alberta, but it's pretty cool what RCW is doing for sure.
Yeah, so they're, like you said, they're running weekly. Well, since they've been able to go back to live events, there's some periods there through the last couple of years where they had to stop running shows. And with having to have smaller capacity, they were, there was a time you could only have 100 people, right? So they are running every week to kind of make up for that. Now you can have full capacity, and they're still running weekly, and they're like the only promotion right now that I know of fully running. So they're doing a great job.
Now I do have to try and get the scoop. When can we expect to see you back in maybe the RCW ring or walking people down to it?
I'm not sure. Anytime some special event comes up, I'm certainly happy to be a part of it. So hopefully soon.
Well, I love to hear it, and I want to see hopefully you back in the UK sooner rather than later, and especially if I get more stories like this out of it. I have a fan question from Georgia S. She wants to ask about the time you were managing Harry Smith in England, and someone had an unfortunate accident in the ring.
Yes, that was an awesome memory. So my first time doing UK shows, which is on my bucket list to do with Harry, of course, just because it makes sense with our dads. Those are our dads right there. And at the end of the match, I get in the ring because Harry won, and I, kind of congratulate him and give him a hug. And he whispers in my ear, and my other cousin Georgia was there, and so she's taking pictures of us, like kind of the play-by-play of this all playing out. And he's whispering in my ear, and then I look over, and he said to me, like, the guy that he wrestled shit his pants. So I look at the ring, and like there's like a shit mark, and I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, the pictures are like, I'm coming in, I'm hugging him, then he's whispering in my ear, and then he's pointing, and then we're both looking like disgusted. And then we just couldn't get over it all night. I'm like, well, like, did he feel sick? Like, there was something he ate? Did he warn you maybe it wasn't well? Like, what happened?
Or did one just pop out?
Just like you hit him so hard that it just came out. I don't know. But it was an awesome memory, and literally we couldn't stop talking about it all night. And every year it shows up in my memories, and I'll send it to Harry.
It's the shit-iversary. That's terrific. And one of these days, I would hope that pops up as well on the Dynamite Kids official Instagram, or at the very least on yours, because you're a great follow. I don't want to call the other wrestler out, but okay, that's fair. Maybe we'll put like one of those black censor bars or whatever. Put it just like the emoji over his face. I'm too nice. Well, that's fair. But, like I said, it's for my own selfish reasons. You need a good laugh every so often. But whether it's for that or not, where can people keep track of you if they want to follow you on Instagram, Twitter, or anywhere in between? Because like I said, they certainly should be supporting great pro wrestling, but the great people inside of it as well.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram myself. It's just Bronwyne Jewel. And then my dad's page that I started is official Dynamite Kid. And then I'm on Twitter as well, which is Dynamite Doll 84.
Make sure to support, friends, because like I said, we want to support great pro wrestling. We want to support the great people surrounding it. And, it's been 20 minutes of fun for me. I got a good story out of it. We had some laughs and all that other cliche stuff that you can throw at the end of a podcast. But most importantly, it meant a lot that you took the time for me today, Bronwyne. And thanks again. Friends, if you want to keep up to the latest and greatest in Canadian professional wrestling and the most positive in professional wrestling, give Love Wrestling a follow wherever audio is played or videos are viewed at Love Wrestling CA. If you want it all in one fell swoop, you just put a dot in between Love Wrestling and CA. That'll take you to the official website where everything that you can possibly imagine that we're putting out can be found, including hopefully my upcoming next super edition of interviews with Bronwyne Billington, because I hope we get the opportunity to do this again, friend. It was a blast.
Absolutely. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, friends, for tuning in. For Bronwyne, I've been Spencer Love. We'll see you on the next one.